All right. Good morning, everybody. Let me know if you guys can hear me all right. It's been a while. Sorry. I've been busy the last couple of weeks. Last weekend we had the Keating class here, which was packed in here. So I was going to try and get on live, and it just didn't work. And the week before that, I had my son's basketball game. So I still attempted to get on live, but it just didn't happen. So sorry about that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right now to talk about. So we'll get into that. But yeah, make sure, let me know you guys can hear me all right. And we'll get moving with the report here. Thanks everybody for joining in. Uh, all right. And of course, give it a like. That goes a long way for the channel and everything. Morning, Sean, Midwest Muskie, Randy, good seeing you. All right, Scott, good morning. So, all right, we'll start in with the morning, Sean. Big news with North Point is that Skipper Buds is taking it over. They did make a deal with the state of Illinois. Everything seems to be ready to move forward. Last I heard, it was just a verbal agreement, but they said they were 98% there, so that is a great thing. So we'll be able to launch our boats this year. We'll be able to put our boats in slips, so that's good. So everybody can kind of relax a little bit. So yeah, that is a really good thing. All right. Morning, everybody joining in here. So who's been out fishing this week? Yeah, Sunman says it's the only logical choice given the chaos. Yeah, you know what? The reality is Skipper Buds is probably the only company that can make money running that marina because they have the boat storage and maintenance and they sell the fuel and all that kind of stuff. Where any other company that comes in to run a marina, they're only able to generate revenue with slip fees. And since there's not that many boats at North Point compared to its capacity, I mean, it's like at 30% capacity. Reality is to cover all the insurance and the payroll and all that, like slip fees don't really cover it. So yeah, really the only logical choice was Skipper Bud. So thankfully they are stepping in. I know it was reluctant. They didn't really want to. They've never really wanted to be in charge of the marina, but they took one for the team and took it over. So yeah, thank you to them. All right. Catch up to some comments here. William Mezer says there is 12 inches of ice on Geneva. That's good to hear. I went on my pond and drilled a few holes Tuesday, and there was 6 inches, which is great, but it kind of surprised me with the weather conditions that we've had that it wasn't a little thicker than that. So I've been hearing some really varying fishing reports. I talked to one guy who was out in one of the small county lakes this past Sunday, a week ago, basically, and he said that they only had 3 inches. So that really surprised me. So yeah, be careful out there. I know there have been some people that have gone through this week. So even though we've had some extremely cold weather for our area, the ice is, we've had warm weather, cold weather, warm weather, cold weather, and some of that ice is a little goofy because of that. So definitely be careful out there. All right. William says the walleyes are active on Geneva. That's good to hear. So Sean says, does that new harbor management mean possible dredging in 2026? I know that dredging is a really high priority for them. I don't know if it's going to happen in 2026 or not. I hope so. But I know that they have a plan in place they're working on. But I just don't know the timeline of that. All right. What's going on, LM Kayaker? All right. I thought there was some other news I was talking about. I don't remember. But March 7th, we have a free class here with Captain Caleb and Captain Jake from Indiana. It's free. No sign up or anything. Just show up here. It starts at 9. I'd get here a bit early to get a seat because Caleb usually packs the place. He does a really good class. You can ask him all the questions you want. It kind of just goes until whenever it ends when people stop asking questions. But every year people come into that class and they get really good feedback. If you just want to learn about salmon fishing, talk about salmon fishing, get out of the house, I definitely recommend coming to that. Again, it's March 7th here at Lake Michigan Angler. Usually we get like 80 people that show up for his class. So that's why I said get here early so you can get a parking spot and get a seat back there. But it's a really good weekend here, so I highly recommend it. People come from all over for it, and Caleb's pretty entertaining up there, so you'll like it quite a bit if you haven't been to one of his. And a lot of people come every year for it, so even if you've been there, come back again. He always talks about something a little bit different. So in the store here, it's been really busy. Got a lot of new stuff. Trying to get ready for Keating's class. Some of it already kind of sold out, but I'll start going through some of the new stuff that came in. First thing is we got the J fluoro from Daiwa right here. New fluoro for us. Good stuff. Inexpensive. It's like $16 spool. So as far as fluorocarbon goes, it's not bad to get 200 yards out of it. What else we got here? We've got some Lonnie tubes. Lonnie finally brought me his tubes. So we've got a bunch of colors of those right here. Those are awesome for harbor fishing, ice fishing, river fishing, all that for brown, steelhead, coho. Got a bunch of different colors. I just grabbed a couple of them right here. They are available online. So if you need to order some, can't get in, go for it there. People have been buying them already. What else we got here? Did get in some Bradston fish finally. I know I've been asked for those, so pretty good shipment of those. I just grabbed a couple colors to bring up. I know most people are pretty familiar with them. Those are two of my favorites right there. Let's see what else I have here. Oh, as long as we're on the thin fish, we did get the Mr. Chromes in. That's one of his new colors right there. Got that one too. And then, of course, all the others. They're on the pegs right now. So I'm thinking spring, so I'm getting that kind of stuff in the store right now. One of his new colors for his little 5.5-inch flashers right here, the Antifreeze Ember. That's been a pretty good one, or pretty good looking one at least. What else we got? Some of the new colors of the spoons. The other color I sold out of already, but I'll be getting those back in soon. And we'll probably get some customs going. And another new product, Yak spoons. We have Yak spoons now. So I don't know. I've got like 20 different colors of them. I'll be getting more as well, some other colors. They are online, but I don't have the pictures up yet. I'm just waiting for some pictures for those. But people have been ordering them anyways, so I guess I don't need pictures because I've already had like 8 orders online for them without. No one doesn't want to focus. Put it back. Get it there. There we go. Without pictures. So I guess if you know which ones you're looking for, go ahead and order them. And then beaver spoons. We got the new beaver spoons in. The purple haze here. Superman. Yellow jacket. Frankenstein. The clownfish. And, of course, we got in the alien breath and the Wonder Bread and the bloody nose and all the rest of them. I think there's one I sold out of already. The Tata teaser I had, but people already bought them all. So I'll be getting some more of those soon. We got in some Dreamweaver stuff, divers, meat rigs. We got the Kevin's Girlfriend meat rig here. The Moo, a bunch of other colors. Some 11-inch flashers from them. Like here's the Chrome Two-Face. And, of course, a bunch of the different white ones. Like the classic white pearl fish scale. We got in a couple of the new spin doctors here, the white dagger and the dark blue dagger. So we're getting more and more stuff in. Also got in from Okuma the Rockaway rods, which is really a surf rod, but it's pretty solid setup. Not super expensive or anything. The rod's like $120. Reel's like $100 or so. The reel seems pretty heavy duty. I think it's really meant to be a surf rod. But it'd definitely be a good rod for chucking spoons in the harbor and stuff like that. So from this point forward, there'll be more and more new stuff coming in. Trying to get those pegs filled. So we'll just every week there'll be something new at this point. Let me see if we can catch up to some of the comments here. All right. Kenneth says hi from Tennessee. Thanks for watching from Tennessee. Randy says the ice was 10 inches yesterday. I think he was in Racine. 17 up on the east side of Green Bay. That's pretty good. That's thicker than anything around here. Any frostbite ice fishing? I don't have any. I know people have been asking for that, so it might be something I'll keep in mind for next year, because at this point in the season, it's kind of late for me to get it. But if there's certain ones that you're interested in that I should carry for next year, like specific colors or sizes, email me. Let me know which ones they are so I know which ones to get. Because I'm not really familiar with the frostbite stuff. I've checked it out, but I don't know it really well. Do the freshwater fish see colors for real? Definitely. I wish I had that book. There is a book about it written by I forgot if it was an optometrist or an ophthalmologist, How Fish See. And it goes through the biology of their eyes, how they see in comparison to the background. Like if they're in a body of water where it's darker rocks and stuff versus maybe a sandy bottom. It goes through how the different colors show up in the water column based on depth, all that different stuff. It's one of those books, like, unless you're really smart, you probably got to read it more than once. I definitely probably had to read it like 3 times. Check that book out. I forgot who the author is. Maybe I'll try to Google it later. We used to carry it here, and there is definitely freshwater fish definitely see color. No doubt about it. So, all right. Hudson says, can't wait for spring coho. Absolutely. I can't wait either. I think a lot of my customers are excited because the amount of flies I'm selling right now and stubby dodgers and double O dodgers has definitely spiked in the last week. All right. Love the last green spoon. Yep. All right. Catch up to more comments here. Morning, rather be fishing. Frankenstein looks awesome. Yeah, that's one of my top spoons out of the new beavers for sure. Thank you, Randy. Jeff from the Duckbill, did you get more rods in stock? We'll be there Monday. Not yet. I told my wholesaler, I have them on order. I told my wholesaler not to rush, to just send, or if they're going to be coming by, they could just bring it rather than shipping them. So it might just be an extra week or two before they actually make the trip around the lake, because shipping rods kind of stinks, and if we can avoid it, I always try to. So they won't be here on Monday. All right. Good morning. The freeze is on. We're having a little bit of a heat wave today, though. Like, we're getting into double digits. I think it's supposed to get into the 20s. This week is looking pretty nice compared to what we've had. I loaded up on bait this week because of it, because I think there'll be a lot of people ice fishing. It's going to be pretty comfortable. It's amazing how much of a difference it felt, waking up in the dark and coming to work when it was negative 13 compared to like a couple days later, it was like 5, and all of a sudden I walked out to my car and said, it's not that bad out here at 5 degrees, because negative 13, it bites, that's for sure. All right. Yep. Red orange yellow turned gray by 30 feet in clear water for sure. But what changes that is if it's fluorescent or UV, that kind of stuff. So some of those colors will end up keeping their color a little bit deeper in the water column. And that's why certain colors historically that you wouldn't think would be good deep were. Like a classic spoon was the Old Yeller that had a chartreuse stripe, and that was historically a really good deep spoon. But you would thought that it would have disappeared turned gray by the time it got deep. So the fluorescents reflect more in deeper water, deeper into the water column. All right. All right. I fish in a kayak and never know what I'm doing. I'll look into it before the lakes thaw. Yeah, check it out. Um, that being said, don't overthink it. I mean, I I'm not an expert at how fish see. It's been a very long time since I checked out that book. I don't worry about it too much. I try a color. If it doesn't work, I try a different color. Like my thought process isn't too complicated. If I see the fish are kind of biting one color, and then maybe I'll put a similar color out. Um, Same thing with like depths and stuff. I don't overthink it. We just try things. Put a dipsy out 50 feet. Doesn't work, we'll try it at 60 feet. And if it doesn't work, we'll try it at 70 feet. And if it works at 70 feet, we keep it there. And maybe move the other one to 70 feet. Um, I think just do the trial and error and process of elimination sometimes is a little more effective. When we get too scientific with things, a lot of times we overthink it. And then you lose confidence in things, and sometimes you're just better off just trying. Just throw some baits in the water and see what happens. I keep my approach to it really simple. Will I be selling flashers and flies as a set? I could. I've thought about it. One thing that I've learned, a lot of times you can buy from other companies like a flasher and a specific fly, they're matching up with that flasher. And I'm sure they work together, but I usually don't sell it that way because I don't see like that you have to have this fly with this flasher, like mix and match it. They don't have to match a green fly, green flasher. Like a red Dodger and a green fly works awesome. Bullfrog, you can put behind anything. Same thing with Super Frog, Green Crinkle, all these flies you can put behind any flasher and they're going to work. So don't get too set on that. As long as like you have a bunch of Coho flies that go with Coho Dodgers, and a bunch of King flies that go with King Dodgers, you can mix and match them however you want. I might have a certain setup that works pretty good for a while, and then it dies, and you throw a different fly on there, and then you're right back to catching fish. So I don't like it when people get too fixated on this flasher and that fly. I try not to get that way. But that being said, I can definitely put together a set of Dodgers and flies. I do it in here all the time. My boat looks so sad just sitting and waiting. Yeah, I took a look at my kayaks in the garage on the way here, and they're just full of junk. I've just been throwing stuff in them, fishing stuff, ice fishing stuff, hunting stuff. They look pretty sad as well. We did well on Coho on Lake Superior last winter on the dinner bell from Frostbite. All right, I'll look. I think someone was in here asking me for that dinner bell specifically, so that sounds like a winner. All right. Pull up the next comment here. For a jaw jacker rig, do you use a swivel or a knot to attach the fluoro leader to the mono on the reel? You can do whatever you want. A swivel, like sometimes tying light fluoro is tough. Like if you're tying a blood knot or whatever, that can be a tough knot to tie with light fluoro. And I've tied these knots a million times, so I can make it look really easy. I tie them every single day, numerous times, while I'm spooling up reels and stuff for everybody. But a little tiny micro swivel is easier, and they're very strong. Like the Spro micro swivels I have behind me, the size 10, it's 35 pound. It's gonna be the strongest piece of equipment on that setup for a jaw jacker. So go ahead and do it. But if you just want to tie a blood knot or whatever, that works fine too. It really doesn't matter all that much. All right. Northeast Troller Spoons, I talked to him. I'll have those soon. Again, if there's specific Northeast Troller spoons that you're interested in, let me know. Sometimes, I go through and look at all the ones that I'm interested in, and that's what I order. And sometimes there's ones that just didn't catch my eye but are really good, or they catch other people's eyes. So, yeah, let me know which ones you're interested in. Okay. I do have a certified scale. Yes. I'd love it. We've only done one record fish. It was my buddy Jerry caught the record pink. I don't know, it had to be 4 years ago when we had all the pink salmon. And then, unfortunately for him, that record was broken, significantly broken, like 3 weeks later or a month later. But yeah, we have done it. Morning, gold, silver junkie, Bob. All right. Morning, Missy, Lori. All right. Can I get the dinner bells? I won't be for this winter. I'll have to talk to that company. I did check to see if my wholesalers carried those spoons, and none of them carried the frostbite spoon, so I have to go direct to them, which is fine. But at this point, that would be for next year. Your kayaks are full of junk too. Yeah, and I've got two big kayaks. I have a Pro Angler 17 and a Pro Angler 14. They hold a lot of junk. Does a fish hawk or smart troll improve your odds? Yes. I think a lot of times, like, I can fish without a fish hawk pretty effectively. I do think that it is important to learn to read the water and read your rods. So when people are just starting off, I usually say, don't be afraid to hold off on a fish hawk for that first year or two. Get used to the way your boards run in the water, the way your dipsies look in the water when you're catching fish. That's a really important piece of information to get that idea, like the right bend and all that. But that being said, there's days that currents are goofy. We're having trouble with the water temperatures a little bit, like get patches of warm and cold. And so on those days, I'm usually pretty happy I have the fish hawk, especially later in the summer. I find it really useful. So I do have a bunch of fish hawks, the new fish hawks on order, the new full probes, like the full units, and the new TDs. And it's pretty cool because the new units, you can, if you choose to, have them connected to the cloud. And if you're connected to the cloud with your phone app, then you can not only see your water temperature, but the water temperature of everyone else that is connected to that cloud. So people in Milwaukee, whatever, all that information becomes public. And you don't have to be part of that. Some people don't want other people to know what their water temperatures are. But yeah, if you join into that, you can see the other water temperatures. You can see what the water temperature is like when they're fishing shallower than you, as long as they're all connected to that. But of course, it's going to take some time for that to really be useful because there needs to be more of the new units on the water first. So as more and more people get those new units, then all that there'll be more and more information available. So just keep that in mind. Like if you get the new one, which I'm not exactly sure when they're going to be here, but if you get the new one and you go out and use it for the first time and you're like, I want to use this cloud, and there's no water temperatures on the cloud, it's because not many people have them yet, because the older units won't be capable of that. But the new unit looks great. It's got the double wide transducer. It's going to be Bluetooth capable. It's going to give you the same information as the old ones, minus your top information, because that wasn't really that useful. And the new screen's really nice. It's a little bit more similar to like a cell phone screen rather than just having a set data that can never be changed. So now with the new screen, you can do software updates so that the data, like if they do an update where now you can display this and that, they can do those changes. And the other really cool product, so Fishhawk was in here a few weeks ago and they were showing me all this stuff. But they also had an engineer for another, and I can't remember the name of his product, but it was like a iTroll for throttle control. But the cool thing about it is that it doesn't go by RPM, so you're not going to be making the changes like by 100 or 200 RPM. You'll be making the changes by the speed, so it's more like cruise control in your car, where you just say, I want to go 2.7, and it's going to link up to whatever you have it linked up to for speed. And eventually, it will be able to link up to the Fishhawk probe, so you can say, I want to go at 2.7 at the ball, and it will automatically control your throttle to do your ball speed. And it'll have features, it has features like a hunt. So if you want it to vary in speed, go, faster for a minute and slower for a minute and back and forth. It'll do all those different things. So the combination of the two, the Fishhawk and his product, are going to be really cool. All right. Morning from Michigan City. Eager to try Patrick says he's eager to try the Northeast Troller stuff. Yeah, I meant to get it for last year. And then it was my own fault because I was like, early in the season, like right now, I'm thinking to myself, I don't really need too many spoons in the store. I'll wait till it's more like spoon time. But then spoon time comes and I'm so busy that bringing in a whole new line of products is actually like really difficult. It's a lot of work for me. So, all right. Any set dates for the brawl? Actually, I'm not doing the brawl this year. I'm sorry. All right. Inner City Pigeon says, simple polymer knots with certain fluoros, even when they are wet. I think I'm clinching it down wrong. I do a blood knot. It's not an easy knot to tie, though. But you can do like unis and all that. There's a bunch of knots that work. But the main thing with fluoro is definitely wetting it. And certain fluoros, when you're cinching them down, will get a little curly no matter what. So keep that in mind. Like there's like just nothing you can do about it. All right. Well, the Okuma giveaway, we'll get into that. We'll start doing the giveaway while I do that. I haven't even gotten into the fishing report yet. So Okuma is the keyword. So you guys can start commenting Okuma while I do a little fishing report here. Fishing's pretty good this past week. I've had some really good ice fishing reports for the harbors specifically. A lot of browns and steelhead being caught. The key this past week, though, has definitely been downsizing and fishing on the bottom with spawn. So tiny hooks, just getting super finesse with it. At this point in the season, historically, things get a little tougher. The fish have been pounded really hard, especially this year. And once that happens, like they've seen a ton of spawn sacks. They've seen everything imaginable, shrimp and tube jigs and jigging spoons, and they start to catch on a little bit. So the key has been to really get tiny with the hooks. So a lot of guys have been buying size 10, even size 12 octopus hooks for their spawn sacks, just getting really small, really light line, 4 and 6 pound line. And that's making a pretty big difference, especially in the areas that have the clearer water. So, but yeah, I've had really good reports from Kenosha, Racine, Milwaukee, all that. And now that we get towards the end of it a little bit, I mean, there's not really an end in sight, but it's going to happen in the next month. Usually things start to pick up again. When things start to warm up, those fish start getting active in the spring. So that's when I like fishing for them. But I usually wait for it to, the last few years at least, been waiting for it to thaw out before I get them. I'm trying to remember there's been some pike caught in North Point. Now, technically, it says no trespassing. The gates are chained up. No one's been kicked out of there that I know of, at least. But there have been some pretty nice pike caught down there. I heard of some really good sized walleyes, like really, really nice walleyes out on Fox Lake on the Fox chain. I haven't heard any reports from like Sterling Lake, so I don't know if anybody. I've had people come in to get bait to go to Sterling Lake, but I haven't gotten the reports afterwards. So if you guys have any fishing reports from inland, please let us know. All right. Sean says 60 watching and 17 likes. Actually, between the two feeds, it's 126 watching. So, yeah, feel free to give it a like, guys. It goes a long way with helping the channel. Do I have any of the P-Line laser minnows in stock? I have a few right now. I have a bunch on order. I think they're scheduled to start coming in March. Right now, I think I have mostly big ones. I don't even know where they are at the moment to look, but it's a very small quantity right now. I'm pretty wiped out on them, but more are on the way. Morning, Arnold. All right. Can I speak to the different types of patterns of spoons for trolling salmon and trout and when to use them? Oftentimes, everyone talks about color, size, glow, but not about patterns. Um, the main thing is to, like what I was talking about earlier, don't overthink it too much. A lot of times early in the spring, everybody, or earlier in the year, everybody's fixated on small spoons. I often go to the big spoons. Now, if it's like really early before alewives show up, then I'll use more small spoons, especially gold spoons. And then, because I'm kind of targeting more brown trout, then as like kings come in, if we get the alewives coming in to spawn, a lot of times the mature alewives are here, and at that time, then I'm running bigger spoons, hoping to catch a king on that. And I don't put a whole bunch out. Usually at that time we're coho fishing, and I'll just get like one or two in the spread just to see if there's a king around. As far as actual patterns go, like getting real specific with it, it's hard to get really specific with the patterns, but like typically early season kings, brighter colors. The UV Stinger Blue Dolphins are really good early season. Last year, the Mr. Chrome, the shrimp, that orange shrimp spoon, the Lettner Rip, those were good king spoons. And then as we saw the progression as we got later into the season, into that July and August, you'll see for kings at least a lot more pearls like the McLovins and the Wonder Breads and the Hailstorm and Bad Toads and stuff like that starting to pick up. It's kind of hard to get. I mean, there's a million different spoons, so to get really specific with it would be in a really long show. But and then that being said, I've had spoons that historically worked in the fall, and then you throw it out in the spring, and it is working then. And like Bad Toad, it seemed like for years that was a late season spoon. Like no one would ever buy a Bad Toad in here until like August. But then the last 2 to 3 years, it's been like an all summer spoon, like starting in June throughout August, it's working really well. So things do change. So don't get too set on specific spoons for certain times. But matching the size can be more important than anything. So if you find that you're in a school of smaller alewives, then put some smaller spoons down. And that's just trial and error. Get out fishing, throw a little variety down there. If the smaller ones start catching fish, you see that they're coughing up smaller alewives, then take out your magnums. And some days it doesn't matter at all. AccuTroll, thank you. So AccuTroll is a new throttle control product. All right. Hey, Paul. Yeah, make sure you guys are commenting. Okuma, it looks like I have just a ton of comments to catch up on here. Yes, I do have 2 live streams running at the same time. So you can choose between the vertical or the horizontal, whichever you prefer. Some people prefer one or the other. Some people hate the vertical. Other people love the vertical. But you have options. So if you hate one, you can watch the other. All right. Looks like people are commenting. Okuma here. Keep scrolling down. All right. All my Okuma reels are mixed Daiwa, and all my rods are Okuma. Reels are mixed Daiwa and Okuma. Yeah, some people like everything to match. Some people don't care. I don't care if my stuff matches. Our boat's got Okuma, Daiwa, Penn, Shimano. We've got it all on there. I kind of like having experience with. I mean, I sell all the reels here, so I do like having a little bit of variety on the boat because I've experienced with it all from, Dakotas, Penn Squalls, Penn Fathoms, Kuma Convectors, Cold Waters, New Cold Waters. I've got all this stuff, so I've got experience with it all. That being said, I think at the moment, the best reel for your money is the new Cold Water for sure. Without getting into the high end, like $300 plus reels, it's really good. All right. Anything on Geneva? Well, someone commented earlier that the walleyes were doing pretty good out there. Paul asked, any seminars coming up? Yep, I talked about it in the beginning. Captain Caleb and Captain Jake will be here on March 7th. It is a free seminar. It starts at 9. There's no admission or anything. You don't have to sign up. Just show up. I recommend getting here early for parking and for getting a seat because Caleb always packs the place. It's always a really good day here. He's very entertaining. If you haven't been to one of Caleb's classes, I highly recommend them. It's a little more laid back. You know, like Keating does a great job. He does an awesome class, and he tries to cram a ton of information into that weekend, and he does a really good job of it. Caleb's is a little more laid back. So everybody, you know, it's a pretty good one as well. And of course, it's free. So if you can't stay the whole time, he usually just talks for the morning. It doesn't go all day or anything. Definitely come on in and check that out. All right. I thought I heard the little computer program that picks the winner or awards the likers with 2 chances. Has anyone else heard that? I have not heard that. I will have to look into that if that's a thing. If it is a thing, we will go that route. All right. Oh, maybe. Sorry, Rob cannot find the like button on this platform. Okay. No problem. I'll have to look into that too. Do I have Okuma rods in stock? I have most Okuma rods in stock right now. Classic Pros, most of the Diamond Elites, but the Diamond Elites have been selling really, really well. So I have a few that I'm out of, but I have them on the way. I've got the Cold Water Customs. I've got some of the full roller wire Convector Pros. I've got a little of everything right now. So I'm in pretty good shape. There's just certain specific rods that I'm out of. Just a few. But yeah, if there's a specific rod you're looking for, just give me a call and I'll say, hey, I got it, or it's going to be here in a couple of days. But 90% of the Okuma rods are here right now. Do you stick to the same color in your spread, or do you throw out some random? I'll throw random stuff out there. Like as far as when you say a specific color in the spread, are you saying like, am I putting like all green Dodgers and flashers and spoons out there? If that's the case, I definitely am not. I'm going to start off the morning with a chrome flasher for sure, a white flasher for sure. And based on what's been going on lately, my third flasher is going to be white or chrome. Just don't know what, with a mix of green in it. Flies are going to, nothing's going to be the same when I'm starting off. And some days we don't even have to change things, but the only time you're going to see a lot of similar colors in the water, is like Coho time, where you almost have red Dodgers across the board, maybe a yellow one mixed in here and there. That's the only time everything's like really, really similar. But typically we just let the fish tell us what they want. And if they're clearly biting white flashers, we switch to white flashers. But you don't want to, especially you start early in the morning like we do, you don't want to just be too stubborn with that when they're starting to bite those white flashers. Sometimes the sun comes up and they start hitting the chrome. You don't know that if you had all white out. So I'm usually not too stubborn with that. Same with spoons. I'm going to have a variety of spoons. We're going to have a blue one, a green one. And then we'll just let the fish tell you what they want. And you see it change throughout the day. And we're really lucky in our area here to fishing so good. A lot of times it doesn't even matter. If you're trolling a spoon in a kayak and no more than 20 feet of water, should I still be using a weight? Yeah, and you know what I like to use? I can't really run over there and grab one right now. For the spoons in really shallow water, I like to use the little baby dipsies that are like, they're probably like 2 inches in diameter. That's what I really like for the kayak with the spoons. And I'll even run Dodgers for Cohos from them. But it's an easy way to fish because you don't need to have a lot of line out. You can run lead core back or a weight as well, but it takes a lot more line to get it to depth. And in the kayak, you're so stealthy, it's not necessary. And so I really like those little baby divers. Dream River makes them, and Lure Jensen makes them. Can you recommend a power action for a 9-foot high dipsy? Stainless steel eyes if possible. So if you want stainless steel eyes, you have one option for a 9-foot dipsy, and that's going to be the Okuma Cold Water Custom. think it comes in two actions, medium and medium heavy. I like it on a lighter side at medium, but it's kind of a personal preference there. I have them both in stock if you want to check them out. But that is the only rod that has the stainless guides that's meant for like a braid dipsy. Um, you could put a wire dipsy on it if you want, I suppose, but all the other ones are ceramic guides. So just keep that in mind. But those are really nice rods. So definitely check that out. As far as that action goes, and the thing with when you say like medium and medium heavy these days, the words mean nothing. Like I've got a medium heavy rod. I have two 7-foot medium heavy rods, and they're not the same action at all. I have mediums and some lines of rods that are heavier than medium heavies. So, like I said, none of it means anything anymore, unfortunately. You can't just say, yeah, you want a medium heavy for this, because another brand's medium might be the same as this brand's medium heavy. But that Okuma rod is a pretty good rod. I've sold a bunch of them. Like I said, I like going with the lighter one. I like that a little more give on the dipsy when the fish hits. So the medium would be my preference. When will the coho start biting inshore? Definitely once we start losing some ice. Every year is a little bit different. I've seen years where guys are catching cohos from shore in Waukegan at the end of January. That's not normal, though. Typically late March and April is a little more normal for shore fishing in our area here. And then further south, March, early March, sometimes February. But again, it just depends on how quickly things warm up, how dirty the water is. Like right now, we've got pretty dirty water. That dirty water in our area is not good for coho fishing. It clears up a bit, starts warming up, then things will start to pick up a little bit. But as far as how quickly they'll be here, every year is a little different. But April's more of a sure thing. Will I stream Caleb's class? I will not. That one is for people coming in store only. The seminar is March 7th at 9 a.m. I recommend getting here about an hour earlier. So, all right. Patrick Wickbo says, double click anywhere on the screen to give me a like. So thank you for that. Do you recommend UV tape on crankbaits? I've had some pretty good luck on UV tape crankbaits, especially when I get the custom flicker shad, like the Lucky Larry, or when I'd get the Chartreuse Zebra Maiden, the size 9 flicker shad for kings. I'd put some of the transparent UV tape on the sides of that. That was a real winner for me, and I know it works on other ones too. What do I prefer on rod length? It really depends on the application. Downrigger, dipsy diver, all that planer board, all that kind of stuff. That being said, I personally prefer 7-foot downrigger rods. I like 7-foot as well for other things, but I'm not super picky with it. So our boat's a hodgepodge. There's 8-foots and 8.5s and everything mixed together, and we're just not that picky. But I do like 7-foot on the downriggers. That being said, everywhere else, like that's like a local thing here. Like our Northeast Illinois, Southeast Wisconsin area like 7-foot rods, and then everywhere else in the lake they like them longer. And there's pros and cons to it all. But like downriggers, I like 7-foot. My wire divers are 8. Braid divers are 9. Boards, we have a bunch of 8s and 8.5s. You're gonna find like with copper and lead core 8.5 is the most popular because the main rod for copper and lead core, the Okuma GLT, which is by far the most popular rod for it, mainly because of the price, and it's a good rod for the money. It only comes in 8.5. So when people are starting off and they're trying to get a lot of stuff and costs a lot of money, that's the rod they all go with, and it works great. But charters typically like shorter ones, so they'll buy all the 7-foot, like 7-foot Teloras or the Convector Pros, or now the new Diamond Elites. The 7-foots have been selling really well. So it does come down to personal preference and application a little bit. When's the best time of year to fish from the harbor, Waukegan area? You know, you could probably start catching some brown trout now. The water's a little dirty, but typically in those situations, like dead bait on the bottom can be pretty good. But really, once we get into March, then things will pick up, especially for the brown trout and some steelhead. That's usually when there's a little bit better fishing. So we're a month away from it really starting. Suggestions on small boat downrigger weights. Well, the size of the boat doesn't really matter too much. Really, the downriggers that you're using, if they're manual or electric, and how powerful those electrics are. Um, I would definitely, if you have electrics that can handle 15 pounds, just go right to 15 pounds. Size of the boat doesn't matter. If you're using manuals, it's really up to your arms and what they can handle. But 12s, once you get to 15s and you start fishing deep, it's a little tougher. But 12s, you want the heaviest weight you can get away with, and really, it doesn't. I don't know. Don't worry about it. Just go with the heaviest one you can. So you just want as little blowback as possible. Back in the day, people used like 6 and 8 pound weights, and now that's not even heard of anymore. It's all heavier. Everybody running Magnum metals. They're all running. A lot of guys running 20-pound weights. Problem with going that heavy is there's a lot more wear and tear on the terminal ends of your downrigger, the cable, and all that, the terminations. So for your average guy, 15 is as heavy as you need to go, and that's what I use, 15. Waukegan Coho start coming up first week of May. If you're fishing on the kayak, late April, you'll start hitting them up. Yeah, especially for the trollers, mate. But last few years, it's been early April. We're seeing the cohos. All right. Let's see here. Do I ever use suspend dots to keep my salmon crankbaits from floating up? No, I really don't. Never really felt like I need to. I guess it depends on the situation, but like if I'm trolling, it doesn't really matter. I'm not letting them pause, so that's why I don't. What's my opinion on the Super Bowl this year? I have a feeling it's going to be the Seahawks, but we'll see. I could be wrong. I'm definitely not an expert at that. Do you know of a way to date or number your videos? It would help us newbies know what you're talking about and when. I don't know. I'll have to keep that in mind going forward. Usually, if it's like a spring trip, it'll say spring on there or something. But yeah, that's something going forward that I'll have to pay more attention to so that when to apply the things we're talking about in there. What do you prefer for trolling thin fins or coho trolling thin fins or Berkeleys? Are you talking about color or what? I just mix it up. Like the red tiger thin fish has always been one of the best, and then everybody likes that one, so I try to avoid it a lot of times. But the purple one is my favorite. Catches everything, brown, steelhead, coho, and all that. But yeah, I guess you got to get a little more specific with the question. What poles do you recommend buying now that might transition into wire, copper, or lead down the road? What are your first 3 rods? Well, my first 3 rods are going to be, the first 2 are going to be dipsies, no doubt. And if you're just starting off, I recommend sticking to braid dipsies. And if you get into like the TDR, it's like the Shimano TDRs are really inexpensive. So if you decide to get to wires later on or something and you need to use the TDRs for something else, they're really good all-purpose rods. Same with the 9-foot Okuma. But the dipsies are the first 2. And then the third rod, I'd have to know more about where you're fishing and everything, if you're going with a downrigger or not. It might just be a third dipsy. I guess it depends. It really kind of depends on your plans going forward and where you're fishing, what you're fishing out of, and all that kind of stuff. But I would say for 100%, your first 2 rods need to be dipsies because that's the most versatile. For me, they catch the most fish throughout the year. You can fish them for spring cohos, just 10, 15 feet of line out in the spring. You can fish them down deep for kings later on. They're the most versatile. They're really effective. So that's the first 2 to start with. What does UV tape do? It just adds more reflection to the baits. It gives it a different look. The UV tape that's called UV, all the stuff that says UV tape on it, like if you hit it with the UV light, it doesn't really bounce back at you, whereas things with UV paint really do. So I don't know how much UV reflection the tape gives it, like it says it does. But that being said, it does reflect differently than just a regular crankbait or spoon, and fish definitely like UV tape. There's just no way around that. There's days where it works better than other days. Like sunny days, that UV tape definitely works better than cloudy days on spoons. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I don't think anybody can argue that UV tape doesn't work. It's very effective, and a lot of the spoons already come with it. Starting to see some crankbaits coming with it, but you can always add it to them, and we have the tape here. You can add to it. All right. All right, it's time to wrap it up here. We have 116 entries. We're going to choose a winner, and it is Scott Petruzinski. So congratulations, Scott. A very regular watcher and stops in the store sometimes. So thank you for all your support over the years. And give me a call if you're going to stop in or if you need me to ship it. Everyone have a great weekend. Good luck fishing if you get out. Be safe. And we'll see you again next week. Have a good one, guys.